Am I the a-hole for leaving my wife because she couldn't move on from her parents' death? My wife was always very close with her parents, and when they passed away in a car crash 5 years ago, she went into a deep slump. She wouldn't leave her bed, and I took on every chore and cared for our newborn by myself. The problem is, it's been like this for 5 years. For 5 years, she hasn't left her bed. I mean that literally. She expected me to cook her meals, and when I was at work, she ordered takeout. We hadn't had intimacy in 5 years. I didn't remember the last time she kissed me. She barely speaks to our 6-year-old daughter. I did every household chore myself and worked 60-hour weeks. I finally worked up the courage to put my foot down about everything, for the sake of our kids, for me, and especially for her. I sat next to her on the bed, took her hand gently in mine, and spoke softly. I know it's hard. It's been really hard for both of us, but we can't keep going on like this. Stuck in this endless sadness. Our kid misses you. I miss you too. I miss hearing your laugh and seeing your smile. Please, for all of us, can you try to take even a small step forward with me? I asked her. She looked back at me. I saw a singular tear fall down her cheek. She squeezed my hand weakly and said, I don't know if I can. I was beginning to lose my patience. I told her she had to get up. She had to. I didn't care how sad she felt. She had to get up. She went silent. The air felt heavy. Then I said that I couldn't keep doing this alone, I was tired. She told me that I had no idea how it felt to lose my parents and refused to speak to me after that. I yelled, You're seriously telling me I don't understand what it's like to lose someone? You were getting your master's degree. You were studying to be something while you were in school. I supported you through everything. I paid for your tuition. I paid for the house that we're living in. I worked almost 70 hours a week to put food on the table for us while trying to be there for our kids. You remember it? During that time Andrew died, my own brother, and I couldn't even attend his funeral because I had to work to put food on our table. When Drew died, I didn't have time to mope around and stay in bed every day. I had to get up and work even harder. For you, for us. I was still there for her when she decided to leave school in the middle of the semester. I still paid for the full class when she needed therapy. Whenever she needed a shoulder to cry on or someone to be strong for her, I did it. I was there. I was depressed, Kay. I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. I didn't want to be the only one taking care of Connor, taking him to school every day before I worked a 10-hour shift and not being able to greet him as he got off the bus. I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings, but after 5 years of grieving, I am tired. Kay didn't say anything, she just looked at me. I asked her if she had anything to say, and she stayed silent. This infuriated me because it felt like talking to a brick wall. I woke Connor up and left the house for the night. I got a hotel because I needed some space away. On the drive there, Connor asked me why Mom wasn't coming with us, and I told him that she would rather stay in bed because she needed some rest. After we left, she kept calling me and texting me. I texted her back that I'd see her in the morning, and she sent a text asking me to come back home immediately, but I needed some space from her. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb, put Connor to bed, and got his clothes ready for school the next morning. While he was asleep, I started writing a letter to give Kay the next morning. When I woke up Connor and drove him to school, since our home was in between his school and my job, I stopped by the house and dropped off the letter. In it, I told Kay how much I loved her and wanted the best for her. Again, I reiterated everything I'd said the night before, how tired I was and how I couldn't keep working 50 to 60-hour weeks to support our family while being the only one taking care of Connor. I was also the only one keeping up with the house, and it was starting to get worse. Clothes and dishes would often pile up in the sink and would still be there when I'd get home. Rooms were messy if I didn't straighten them up. You could forget about dusting. After 5 years of keeping this up, I was getting burned out. At the end of the letter, I told her that if she couldn't help me with anything or get out of bed for herself, then I'd have to get a divorce. I left the letter on the kitchen counter before work. Normally, I'd buy her breakfast or cook it for her, but that morning, I just didn't have time, so I knew she'd come downstairs around 11 while I'd be at work. Kay called me while at work that day. She was yelling on the phone about how could treat her like this after losing both of her parents. She said now I'm making her lose her family. I said it wasn't the best time to talk about this, that we could talk when I'd get home. When I got home that night, Kay greeted me at the door. This was the first time I'd seen her out of bed after getting off work in years. But it wasn't a pleasant surprise. She started talking about the letter I'd dropped off and how selfish and low-life-like I'd been for wanting to break up our family. She screamed at me that I'd failed as a husband and dad. That I'd never be half the man her therapist was. She said he would let her express herself without judging her like I'd done. I let all of her emotions pour out before wiping my tears away without saying a word as I left the house again. This time though, I didn't drive back around town, I drove around aimlessly trying to clear my head from all those hurtful things she'd said. But under those city lights, all that played through my mind were those last 5 years, the arguments we'd had, and how could imagine spending my life without Kay? I thought about how this could affect Connor. Thought about his therapy, but between managing our home life with kids on just one income, I knew we wouldn't be able to afford both therapists. Then began thinking long term, could sustain this if she never decided to work again? I decided then, it was time, to drive back home, to try getting some rest. That night, I stayed in the guest room, and didn't think Kay heard me come in at all. I looked over at the clock on the nightstand, it read 3:24 a.m. I sighed heavily before going back asleep. The next day came quickly, it was time again, to wake up, to get Connor ready for school, but after only 3 hours sleep, my body felt beyond heavy. Dragging myself into Connor's room, I got him ready then took him as usual, to school, and during that drive, I decided finally, to call my boss, to let him know, I couldn't make it today, I felt drained from yesterday's events. When returning home, Kay was out of bed again, she was in kitchen making breakfast. She jumped when seeing me, and asked what I'd been doing at home. I told her I'd called out because needed rest, and that I'd be going upstairs again, to sleep. She gave me a weird look saying we needed money, we couldn't afford missing any day's work, but my body ached, and head pounded from lack of sleep. Telling her again, I needed rest, she slammed down pan on stove saying, well go take care of something else around house. She handed me huge list grocery shopping saying go get what we needed. I said I'd take care of it sometime over the weekend before heading upstairs again. Guess there was some light situation. She made food, something hadn't done in so long, but honestly, I was just too tired to pay much mind. Once inside guest bedroom again, once my head hit pillow, I fell asleep immediately. Woke just in time to pick Connor from school, not realizing how sleep deprived really felt, but physically felt way better. Picking him up from school, asked how he'd been doing. He replied good, and asked if we could get ice cream. Couldn't resist those little puppy eyes, so we went his favorite ice cream parlor. I got strawberry ice cream while he chose vanilla. Looking out window saw couple with baby walking down strip, the woman laughing at something husband said, then husband started playing peekaboo with baby making woman giggle. Couldn't help but wish our family could have been like that moment made feel like years flying by. We wasted them being sad overworked. Finished ice cream headed home. Connor excitedly ran toward our bedroom greeting Kay saying, hey mommy, are you feeling better? I'm okay, she replied as he hugged hoping she'd feel better soon. As he walked out, she said, make sure you close door behind you. Standing doorway looking at Kay until Connor walked past shutting door behind him. Next day came, a Saturday, didn't have wake early taking Connor school instead brought him mom's house since had weekend job, at fancy restaurant tips nice times. When arrived, Connor greeted grandma, I hugged kissed them both before leaving, headed into work, and after first few tables manager walked up telling could go home early today. Asked why, and he said not enough traffic coming through too many servers floor eating profits, we paid $2.13 an hour but didn't complain cleaned rest tables headed home. As pulling driveway noticed car hadn't seen before wondered if mom driving one friend's cars visiting with Connor, or maybe Uber Eats driver since Kaylee always ordered food delivered. Didn't expect company but walked into house hearing someone laughing screaming upstairs, it Kay? Dropped everything door hoping everything okay, adrenaline rushing through veins running upstairs yelling name asking if okay. Got no reply rushing bedroom where usually found saw okay more than okay, she getting intimate therapist Tad. Tad only person she'd talk about feelings, even talk beyond fact depressed. He'd been one confided past 5 years, and here paying wife cheat on me? Asked how could do this after supporting last 5 years. Did even think about how affect Connor, wasn't good enough? She stood there like deer headlights, as Tad scrambled put clothes on, I told him stay right there because needed answers now. She tried defending herself saying he there while working all time feeling isolated lonely, and he helped. Asked if remembered why had worked those long hours. She again said when got off work too tired intimate or converse only conversations blame press do things around house tell bad mother was. Said had conversation one time after 5 years grieving, that getting burned out trying best keep family together, and this way repaid? Felt betrayed more disappointed than mad. Left house be mom bit next few weeks prepared divorce papers. Not knowing go about divorcing or split everything, but new time get out after finding Kay cheating therapist felt betrayed hurt initially but over time started sense relief since didn't worry. Working hard, provide entire family often daydream taking care Connor own downsizing house working only 40-hour weeks living comfortably now within reach. Me Connor lived. Mom started preparing evidence. Lawyer difficult explaining. Connor, mommy, daddy weren't going together anymore. Cried Days, begged stay together. Knew only time resist those puppy dog eyes.